Hello, everyone. I'm Kai. You're on Estelle of Imladris, and you're back for another episode of Seems Right. I use he, they, and she pronouns, and today we will be talking about color, pattern, and texture in some variation of those three things. First and foremost, let's get all the way into our episode. That's the wrong window. Oh, okay. We're just going to take a deep breath. I had some weird tech stuff, but it's all good. Hello, everyone. It is a dark time to be a marginalized person. If we're honest, it has been for much longer than this year. It is important that we reach out to each other, to community, to build meaningful and lasting ties outside of establishments, governments, or faceless digital spaces. Part of why I started this channel was to offer free information and education like I'm going to do today for those who want to remove systemic, personal, or financial barriers that would keep this from being accessible, because I believe the only way forward is together. Thank you so much for being here, but also I urge you to find one person or more and connect with them. Be there for each other. Community is how we will be here long after this era of darkness passes, just as we have always been. In caring for each other, we must also not forget the world that we live in. It is dire times around the world. We should fight for the freedom of those oppressed around the world, truly oppressed, especially those facing genocide and violent oppression. I stand with the people in Sudan, the DRC, Palestine, and all oppressed peoples of the world and urge you not to forget them in this time of hardship. It is very complex times, but being here with you all, seeing you all be there for each other means the world to me, and so I'm so grateful that you not only bring yourself to this space, but also your creative spirit and your joy, because joy is as radical as many other actions. So find joy. Find joy in community. Find joy in helping each other. With that, let's shift on over to some announcements. Gosh, what all's going on? First and foremost, if you're enjoying my streams, please consider following, and if you're able to, subscribing. I am an independent content creator, and all of your support helps me continue to tell stories and talk to you about what you can do to make your stories more rich and personal. I have always ongoing support stuff, but I have zero expectation, if you're watching my streams, watching this on the VOD, of you giving me money. Your eyes, your time is so valuable to me, and I'm so grateful that you all have given me the chance and the space to do this. So all the other stuff is really nice and super helpful, but at the end of the day, just know that I'm just grateful you're here. Oh my goodness, and there's so many wonderful people in chat. Okay. I have also been uploading all of the VODs onto YouTube, stitching together those very few episodes that maybe my stream went out. I'm working on it. I'm thinking that maybe Marvel Rivals has a 2.5 hour limit, and that's what my computer can handle. But I am slowly chapter marking episodes over there. And I am trying to boost my viewership over on that page enough that I might be able to monetize, and instead of YouTube getting all of the money for the ads, I would like some of that money since it's my content. So if you just hop on over that link that I sent in chat and just click that subscribe button, that would be a huge help to me. And of course, if you're watching, comment, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff over there. But again, just watching, I appreciate you. Okay. With all of that said, I'm going to pull up some other stuff. So today, as I said at the very top, we're going to be talking about color theory. But it's not just color theory, because we're going to talk a little bit about the basics of color theory, how to use it in your characters, how to use it in your character design. But also I want to talk to you more specifically about texture and pattern and what role they play in design. And this is going to tie in a little bit to my previous stream about dirty laundry and how things that are broken down, things that are dirty, etc., they have texture, they have color, and that's what we're going to get into today. So we're going to actually start by looking at our artificer, at Awlee, who we designed a couple weeks ago. And Awlee is we're just gonna talk color theory as we paint Awlee, but I'm also gonna show you some stuff really quick, just to kind of like bring us into the world of color theory and talking about how designers use color and what that all looks like and kind of the why. I always like explaining the why, because I think you can have a pretty good artistic eye, but if you don't know why something works when you get stuck, you might not be able to fix it. That's happened to me before. So we're gonna come on over and I'm gonna first show you some like handheld tools. I love a handheld tool. On our down camera. Down camera. There we go. So, welcome to my side camera that you all helped me acquire, and it means the world to me because now I can do stuff like this. Okay, so we have, I'm going to move my coasters. Those don't need to be in the shot. So the two things we have on the table. We have a Pantone book, which I'm going to talk to you a little bit about. It's a pretty, like, expensive and complicated tool, but as you can see, there's a lot of really good colors in there. It is a kind of, like, universal language that people use to talk about color on an industrial level. I'm looking for... Nope. This window. There we go. An accent workout in my seams, right? I guess. I will do it for you. Only because I love you. So, first and foremost, we have your Pantone and your color wheel. And we're going to talk a little bit about the color wheel first. And I'm going to show you some resources on the internet that you can use for said color wheel. Alright, so we all vaguely know the colors of the rainbow, unless you're colorblind, and then I'm sorry in advance. This is going to be a lot of things about colors that you may or may not be able to perceive. Alright, so the color wheel has broken apart all of the colors of the rainbow, which are technically just the perceived colors that light breaks into. So white is all of the colors, if that helps. I'm sure it doesn't. But if you've ever seen that very famous Pink Floyd album cover, or a prism with a rainbow coming out of it, that is all of the colors of perceivable light. There's actually a huge bandwidth outside of that we cannot see, that we don't know what those look like, that can still hit our eyes and do things, but they don't make color. So, we're going to talk about color. So, starting with red, working all the way around, you'll see they kind of gradiate into each other. I'm going to bring this up a little higher, actually. Actually, I can zoom in. I have the power. Give me a minute. Alright, that's better. Color wheel. Look at that. So, you'll see they gradiate into each other. And that's not an accident, because again, light is a band. It is not red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. It is red going into orange, all the colors that go into that. Orange going into yellow, and all the colors that go into that. So, that's how color happens. And then you perceive it. It's a whole thing. I'm not going to get too scientific about it, but it involves basically light and how it bounces into your eyes. But the thing that works very well with color is it works in groupings. So you'll see this fancy diagram in the middle. These are different styles of color coordination according to color theory. We've got your traditional 3-point triangle, which is called the triad. There's names. It says it on my little color wheel. There we go. We have your triad. We have your direct complementary, split complementary, tetrad, and a slightly skewed tetrad. So, the reason these work. You'll notice you know, we all get taught basic complementary colors. So blue and yellow go together. Yellow, orange go together. Blue, violet. Blue and orange go together. They're complementary, opposite colors on the color wheel. And then you start to get a little more complicated when you say, okay, but I want a third color. And you say, oh, I want this red-violet. And then you can either do the tetrad, which is the yellow-orange, and this blue-green, and they all go together. Or you can do split complementary and do green and yellow that go with purple. Who's ever used that combination of colors before? Not me. That's a lie. So this is the old school tool for using that. I'm going to pull up a new, more normal color theory tool that you can actually take to the bank. No, go away. I don't want that. No. Where is that? It's on a different account. Apologies. I need... Where did that go? I have a color picker that I really like, that I don't know where I put. I'll find it. It's not Raycast. Oh! Peloton, that's the one. Here we go. Choice. Go away. Confirm my choices. Websites I haven't been to in 1,000 years. Okay. No. That one. Ignore the ads. So, this is Peloton.com. I've used this 1,000 times. So, you'll see here, they show you all the colors, and then they have, again, adjacent color picker, triad, tetrad, and you can even tweak it even further. So, hi, C. Thomas. And the reason I show you all of this is now you can choose your color. I'm going to, for educational purposes, pick a lavenderish color. So then you can see my logic when it comes to certain things. And then we're going to ask it to do various tetrad, triad, and adjacent colors. So you'll see there's some very familiar colors in here that I choose very often for Zine and Esh. I think it's been 5 minutes. I can drop the fun accent even though I really like it. So you'll see that to accomplish aesthetically pleasing colors, I regularly choose greens, various shades of berry, and yellows to go with Zynon because they are the most complementary colors to lavender, which is his skin tone. So there's actually like color theory logic in all of this. And all of this is just to give you tools when you say, I really want someone who's going to be, I don't know, green. Or I really want to do a costume that's really green. What colors go with green? And you can go into a color picker and look at various complementary colors. And then with something like this, you can actually go in then and pull out the exact color code, which is what the 64073C is. That's how much red, green, or blue is in each of those. How much red, how much green, and how much blue are in the colors that you've chosen, which is what RGB hex numbers are. It can just do straight up contrast. I believe. If not, it'll be in here. Yeah, freestyle, 2 colors. So you'll see it does just like green and red. And every shade of, you know, all of these other things. And you can just go straight up complementary. You can do a 3 color, and it'll tell you which 3 colors. You can even move them around and say like, oh, I actually want to look at 4 colors. And I think there's a way to even adjust your where the particular spots land. But I'm a big fan of a triad color. I'm a big fan of a triad. Yeah, so that's color theory, color wheel. And I'm just going to leave this open because we're going to revisit this. But I want to bounce back over to the side camera so I can show you just kind of a language, because I've already kind of talked a little bit about RGB color codes. But I want to just get a little bit more refined in talking about color for a minute. Down camera. There we go. So, color wheel. Beautiful. Thank you, color wheel. This is my slightly out of date formula guide for specifically Pantone. And this is important because it is the industry universal standard. And I say this because this is a very referenceable tool. I am not recommending that you go out and buy one of these in reality. I just want to show you when you go on the internet what numbers and colors correspond to more than anything else, because this is a shockingly expensive tool that I have from being in grad school. So, we're going to look at, so here is, again, going back to my lavender, somewhere in, that's too light, more like that. And you can see here, there's a number and a letter. That's really light. Whatever. You get the gist. And these are referenceable numbers of color as well. And I give you this information because if you go online, you can search up RGB hex codes. You can search for Pantone color codes. All of these will give you color information that specifically adheres to how much of a particular color goes into making that color, or an industry standard that exists already of what color actually is. So this is not changed from printing to printing. Pantone colors are what they are. So if I was working on something, I needed to call C, who's in chat, and be like, C, I need this to specifically be Pantone 7478C. It would directly respond to the same one in the same book that would look like that. And that's why things like hex codes are actually very useful, because hex codes and Pantone books are a way of communicating specific color. So that's a lot of stuff to simply say, like, documenting your color or being able to directly reference your color is actually very important. So that's why if you look at artists' work in progress stuff, even on digital, you'll usually see that on a layer, they'll put a little just like thumb smudge of a color that they've used in that piece as a way to cross-reference it back to so you can use the color dropper tool in Procreate or whatever painting system you're using. To then use an eyedropper tool to just say like, oh, it's this color again. Oh, it's this color again. There's ways to like save swatches and things like that, because color consistency is actually extremely important. So all of that being said, I'm going to take us back over to Awlee, who we made a while ago. I'm going to make Awlee big. There we go. So that's not Awlee. We're gonna no one needs to see how many HeroForges I have in my giant library. We'll come back to that. Here's Awlee. I have so many hero forges in there. Yes, so C is in chat talking about something that is extremely important, which is consistency of color. Color from your monitor. I have 4 monitors, right? None of these monitors show color the same way. My phone doesn't show color the same way. My iPad doesn't show color the same way. And so there is no like universal truth of digital color pretty much at all. But you'll notice that some monitors actually advertise as being like photo quality, and a lot of it has to do with contrast and color value. And so like Awlee on this screen will look different than Awlee on a bunch of other screens. But if I were to say have Awlee made by another artist, like say I had this mini printed and sent it to someone across the country to paint, I could say like, could you get the color as close to a color code or whatever as possible, and I could send them that information either using Pantone or using hex codes or whatever, so that they can consistently communicate color that way. So yeah, with all of that in mind, I'm trying to figure out what color to start Awlee in. I'm thinking that they need to be very colorful because of their history in the Feywild. So to kind of recap people on what this mini is, so that we can kind of talk about at least like color theory and how it applies to broad strokes of this costume. Awlee is a community built Feylost Artificer built in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, that we've been kind of slowly working through, from how to build the character using story all the way through to how to flavor mechanics, and a little bit about then like how to make that all look like a person. And so Awlee is a non-binary, mask identifying Feylost Hexblood Artificer who uses wood as his main form of artifice. Awlee uses he, they pronouns. And we've built the costume, but now it's time to color it. And one of the things about Awlee that is kind of fun to kind of think about in color theory is that Awlee has a wooden arm. So Awlee's arm, while there is color, I want to keep the wooden color. And so this wood color is going to be consistent, which means things have to look good with brown. And so that's kind of the first thing to think about, is what looks good with brown. Did I close my color picker? I did. There we go. So we're just going to do a little split screen of Awlee and a color picker. And we're going to look at what relates to brown really well, because I think that that's a place to start. Oh. Do you not like being so small? What's the deal? Okay. Let's do that. That's fine. So we're gonna go over to brown, like a wooden brown. It's still not quite a wooden brown. There we go. So oh, it's dice time on my channel. It's exactly as likely as you would think. Let's see here. What do I have? What do I have that we haven't seen on the new camera? Ooh, I have these. I love these. Hold, please. I have to fish them out of my massive dice tray. I'm going to bring over my ice dice, I think, next, so I can show you my gorgeous ice dice collection. Okay, so we're going to just bring in that nice down camera view. Go away, Pantone. Look at these. I'm obsessed with these. They're so beautiful. They are Cloudscape, I think is the name of them. They're a Dispel set. But they're my, like, light. I use them a lot for, like, holy spells and things like that. Let's see here. Plus Starbean, do you subscribe to the whole seasonal color palettes thing, like people having warm, cool undertones and dressing to fit that? I know some people believe in that theory, and some people think it's strictly subjective. I really think it's subjective, because also if you look at just like, if someone has like brown hair and they color it a different color, it completely changes what they look like. And so I think that a lot of that is founded in, I think, some well-meaning, but maybe some misplaced racism. Because people's skin tones don't really interact as closely with some of that stuff. I have some beef with like seasonal color like the like warm tones versus cool tones as a big statement. On a like niche statement, yes, of course, like there are certain things that like if you have, say, like cooler tone skin or warmer tone skin, there's some colors that don't look very good directly against your skin, but I don't think it's like people with warm skin should only wear autumnal colors and people with cool tone skin should only wear like bright spring colors. That doesn't really do it for me. Because this whole thing is probably hopefully getting through that I don't subscribe in any kind of like globally prescriptive point of view on clothing. But great question. And it is something that people talk about often. And it comes up often in costuming. The place that it matters the most, in my opinion, is makeup. Because what color is your foundation? Cool tone and warm tone skin look very different with different foundation. Fantastic. Great question. So, back to what looks good with brown. According to the color picker, our options for specifically things that coordinate with this like kind of woody, orangey brown, which I think is kind of the world of Ollie's arm. It likes blues and greens, yellows, and then if we wanted to do something really like matchy, we can go with a red. I think my inclination is to do some like really kind of bright colors, because the wood is not going to be the only color, so this is just to kind of like see where to start. And I think that my inclination is to do like really saturated greens to start. And I love green. So let's start with a green. So the first thing I'm going to look at, and I will change these as we go. But like looking at where to begin with just adding pieces here and there. Like there's already more color, and you can see as you're looking at something, it adjusts kind of how you perceive it by looking at the color next to it. Yeah, there's a lot of fashion industry propaganda out there, Bliss Starbean. You're so right. Good looking out there. Okay. Now I want to look at blues. That's too dark. And you can adjust on HeroForge, you can adjust so many things about color. I'm just kind of getting us started so that we can kind of tweak these around. I'm really liking actually some like browns in Awlee. A lot. But of course I need the apron to be leather because I'm just like this. Let's do a warmer leather. That's too warm. Oh, maybe it's not. That looks so new. There we go. Yeah. Look at that. Oh, I'm happy with that. Thank you for the hydrate. I, in my rush, forgot water, but instead, I'll tell you what, I'm going to drink some of this oat milk right in front of me. I'm going to pause, though. My body. Okay. Thank you for that. I will bring real water back at break. Goblin hours, leave me alone. So now I've been envisioning this as kind of like an armored sleeve, and so I want it to be kind of a dark leather, but I think what I'm gonna do is make it look nice, and then like everything, I'm gonna kind of screw it up a little on purpose. Look at that studded leather sleeve. The color, listen, the themes in HeroForge are doing their most, but I'll tell you what, sometimes I look at them and I wonder where these things are supposed to coordinate, because sometimes they're all one color and sometimes they are many colors. Show us a cat! Okay, if you insist. Let's see here. Cat folder. You're gonna get... No, we've seen that one. I know we've seen that one. Look at this unconscious child. Look at him. We're gonna enlarge him because he's baby. Look at Watson, fully conked out on this pile of blankets. He is so baby. And you can see in this picture one of my favorite things about Watson, which is that he's got this absolutely fascinating color of fur. Look at that. That's his fur. It is 25% black, like a brown black on the ends, and then white on every hair. It's impossible. Yeah, he is way askeep. He baby. I'm being gifted water by Lena because she's the best. Thank you, everybody. A real hydrate. Brought to you by Lena, who snuck my water over to me. Okay. Thank you for that. We love cat picture. Does Watson have a hat? So true story, I have many garments for this cat. But he does not love it. For those of you who were here when we were playing Stray, remember the cat that just kind of falls over dead whenever you put anything on them? Yeah, that's Watson. He does not love clothing. So I made him a promise when he turned 10 that I would never put clothing on him again, and I have kept it. Because I have so many pictures of him. I have like a cute little tail coat for him. I have all kinds of stuff. But he doesn't love it. It's not that he hated it. He was just like clearly like, please stop doing this to me. So I did. And Rigby is afraid of shapes, and unfortunately clothing is a shape. Oh God, I love tone on tone leather. I love it. Look at that. Oh. And now I'm going to figure out how I want this attachment to look. There we go. There's that. Okay, so we have this fascinating pauldron thing. And now you can see we're kind of getting into a place where the colors are starting to make a little more sense together. And I'm starting to think that I want this trim to actually be a dark green. Like a darker green. Yeah. And then the pants, I'm going to make suede. But I'm going to use this sun-bleached hide color to kind of get us there. Oh, they need eyes. They need, like, hair and eyes. I need that to actually happen. I apologize that that has not yet occurred. So I'm tempted to give them really different eyes from the whole... Oh, there. Boom. Yeah. I'm going to tune that up a little bit, but I think Fey colored eyes is the order of the day. Feywild says eyes not needed. No, shh, quiet you. Because we're gonna do those beautiful, like, prismatic horns. Ollie, I did not paint your ears, and that feels bad. I don't love that. Because you should have ears that are a color. Paints. Hair paint. Hair paint. So I'm gonna start with like a... Ooh. Like a... No. I'm thinking... No. I'm thinking dark hair to really show off the, like, brightness of the horns. Blister bean. Yeah, I'm gonna get really down into the weeds on the mix. I'm just trying to, like, general palette. Choose colors. Ooh, that looks really cool. Okay, maybe we just darken that. Oh, look at them. Yep, that's it. I just need to get some of the colors in before we get to away from yes. And then where's my hair color? There, look at that. They look like a person with actual eyes now. And now I'm gonna try and see where we can get with this kind of stained glass look for the horns. I'm gonna start with just like a base. I'm gonna make them different because that's how that should be as a starting. Yeah. Oh, these already look so cool. Wow. Okay. I'm going to use actual decals to make those do more of what we want them to do, but oh yeah, I love having glowing eyes in HeroForge. I have some Zynon HeroForges that I think I really went off with personally. And for those of you keeping score at home, this is the like full paid HeroForge tier. So some of the things I'm going to do on here are things that are not available at the free tier, but most of this is available at the free tier. And I do highly recommend, if you're going to explore like color and stuff like that with your characters, HeroForge is, I think, an excellent tool for that. Even if it's not a mini that you're ever going to build, it's helpful, I think, to explore what touches, what, like, how you want to talk about your characters. And you'll notice I'm kind of like scattering around different colors, and then I'm going to start adding also touches, knowing that Awlee does have a sister and they like to mark on each other and add little touches. Nope, that's not where I want that paint to go. There we go. So I'm adding just like colorful bands of places where maybe that got dyed. I will pull open some of my other Hero Forges, but I'm going to do it carefully because there are secrets in there. There are secrets in my Hero Forge that I have to not broadcast because I think through my characters in Hero Forge very often. Let's see, get some yellow in there just for kicks. And so you can see, like, I've pretty much kept to the colors that they've offered to some extent. I will mix my metals. Speaking of tropes that people tell you not to do, I do it all the time, especially in my like character miniature thinking, because a lot of times, especially in things like D&D, like where Awlee is supposed to be from, you don't have the luxury of having all the same metal. So maybe one item, like I just did all of the hardware on the apron as this rose gold kind of brushed nickel look that I really like. But then what I'm going to do for some of the other metals is I'm actually going to switch it over and make it kind of like a silvery chrome color. Yeah, like that for some of the armored hardware. Because this is supposed to be studded leather. And for fun, I am going to paint one of them right like that. And maybe that. Like, just some fun little touches like that. There we go. Oh, I love that, actually. And just adding, you know, color and personality and thinking through the like why and the how of how someone would do that. Yeah, HeroForge is such a good reference. And so one of the things that I always encourage you to do, especially when you're building things like in HeroForge or if you're sketching out a character, trying different colors. Like I'll completely paint a mini and then I'll make a duplicate and paint them again using different colors just to keep thinking through like what they could, like what the colorways could look like. But this is starting to really look like in the world that I want this character to be in. And then I want this to be really dark worn leather. And sometimes I will, for shoes in particular, I will add the like dirt decals and that kind of stuff, which I'm a big fan of. Because again, I love it when things are dirty. Make your characters wear dirty clothes. And I'm also cursed with knowledge on some of this. So one of the things I would recommend is like, look up what there's a word for the kind of shoe that this is kind of modeled off, and they're not moccasins because that's the like specifically indigenous American. There's like a Northern European shoe that this is kind of reminiscent of. I'll just look hide boots. And you can look up like that's an artistic rendering of them. I want to look at the real thing. I want to look at more of this. Like, those are sealskin and caribou hide boots. Like, that's kind of the world that I'm looking in. Maybe it's caribou. It's like caribou suede boots. Like, in this world. I want them to be more rough-hewn, but I don't think I'm going to get that right now just from a cursory glance. But you can go through and say, like, oh, okay, so if this is what those shoes are kind of based on, what colors does it look like? And I love this red edge that I keep on seeing. It must be a like, specific... Oh, I see. They're actually a indigenous trim. I love that. So you can kind of see just kind of on a cursory glance what these boots could be. Those are so beautiful. Oh my god. This is more what I'm looking for. It's just like a simple... I like the red stitching on these. There's a lot of good red stitching on these. But like even something like this, you can look at and see like, oh, this is the color that the leather and the thread kind of look like together. So this is what I do a lot. When I am trying to figure out how to paint something that maybe I'm not super familiar with. So I will go through and figure out like what the thing is, especially in HeroForge, that it is supposed to be, and then decide what color that might be and how that would go together. So like you'll notice I choose different leather colors for different things, sometimes to kind of set off the stitching or the intention behind the design there. And I just kind of decide like how things are put together basically. But now they look like interesting shoes, and I know how shoes are made, so I will very often very specifically do that on the soles of shoes, like super often. But I think because Awlee is supposed to be a little bit more fun, I am going to replace one of the laces there and that, because it's cute. Oh, yes, dirt, good. Oh man, Castillo should be covered in Triforodon dirt. That feels right. Oh, Castillo. Zynon, you failed at that. So hard. Anyways. Let's paint the hammer. Hammer is going to be easy. I want slightly worn. Yeah, look at that. And then a good wood. Because this is going to be their trusty hammer. I love that. Good wood. So, now we're kind of in a color world. I do want to like punch up some of it. So like what was being said in chat earlier, you can go in and very specifically adjust colors. So I love a like kind of more teal blue. And in the same way, I'm going to punch up the green. A little bit more green. A little more saturated, maybe a little lighter. Like that. Look at that. We're already headed there. This already looks so good. And I've never really strayed outside of this stuff. Like almost at all. You can see that the touches that I've added that are other colors are pretty consistently tied up to something on him, or which is the horns. So we can just keep adjusting, and I'm gonna do a projected on the horns specifically. Let me see what I can find that can do a stained glass window look, because that's kind of the vibe for the horns. So many patterns. Let's see what magic I can make. So now we're going to start to talk about, we've talked about color quite extensively. I'm going to see if I can just get the horns to a place where I'm happy with them. Let's see here. Oh, I know. If you click into the gear, you can really go deep in. I've spent maybe too much time, no such thing, on HeroForge, making it do things that it is not meant to do. But that's the point of having fancy HeroForge. Okay, well, what I'm looking for is generally going to be kind of like a geometric... Let me see if I can make this do it. So I want it just on the horns. So I'm going to turn all this off. Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to shrink. No. I want this. Thank you. Let's go up so that we can actually see it. It's a good thing I have a long history with 3D modeling. That is what I will commend myself for. Not rotation. Scale. It's still scale. Scale width. Scale height. Ah, I understand the problem. It's the rotation. It is the rotation. Because what I want is the pattern to do this. Yay, I've done it. I've done it, everybody. We got there. We got there. Because now you can see that there's pattern on the horns. And that's really what I want. That, a little like that. Let's do a little tilt to it just to finish that off. No, stop changing. I said what I said. That's more like, oh, I'm happy with that. Okay, so now what we can do is go in and paint them for real. Paint. Bottle. And now we're going to get that stained glass look that I wanted so badly. Let's do orange, yellow, oh, look at that. Lilac. Ooh, that's really dark. Let's do... Where are the ones I picked before? I did that one. I guess I did pick lilac. I'll do that. Oh, I already have that green. Oh, wow. Look at that. Yeah, buddy. So now we have stained glass horns. Those rip. Those are awesome. And now the trick is, because you can see that they really pull attention, is to kind of like find ways to bring that down. Instead of taking down the horns, because we want them to have this, you know, glass quality, and we want them to be very colorful, the trick is now going to be to kind of bring some of that color throughout so that it's not the only thing. Like, imagine if they walked into a room, the only thing people would be looking at are these horns. And so trying to find ways to kind of, not even like tamper how nice they look, but just give them a little bit more, groundedness. Yeah, there we go. Love that hair. And so the trick will be then maybe adding some color down here, maybe a decal or something, but we'll do that after break. But look at how far we've come. I need them to not have the dead straight ahead eyes though. That's not doing it for me. I don't remember where we put direction of looking now. There we go. There we go. Look at them. They're so cute. Cool. All right. We're doing it, everybody. And with that, we're going to take a quick 5-10 minute break. Stretch, pet your pets, give them extra kisses, drink some water, get a snack, and I'll see you all in about 10 minutes. Bye. Hello, everyone. Welcome back from break. Hope you got up and stretched, drank some water, got a snack, did a bunch of other fun stuff. I certainly did. And while we were away, I pulled up a bunch of HeroForge to show you of other characters that I have made in the past. So I thought we'd do that before we go back into Awlee, because they live in my secret archive. Tarot card pull for Indie Wanderer. Okay, hold, please. I'll move the dice. Move the dice. Ugh. To the side, camera. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, we can zoom out of the camera too. We don't need it to be that zoomed in. Boop. There we go. Perfect. All right. Let's focus up. Let's give it something to look at. All right. So we have a card pull for Indie Wanderer. We're just going to mix these up real quick. There we go. All right. I'm going to say there. So your card, Indie Wanderer, is the Mother of Swords reversed. I love this owl. She's so pretty. Look at her. Here she is, upright. In her upright position, the Mother of Swords means sharp and perceptive. You'll often find the Mother of Swords putting her sharp perceptions to use as a therapist, doctor, or teacher. She's extremely experienced and knowledgeable in her field. Some think of her as all-seeing. This card can sometimes represent a woman going through a difficult time. She may be recently widowed or divorced, and usually without children. During this time, there's potential for her criticism to soar. I see this card also as like especially in the reverse position, kind of a like, maybe you don't need to be the sharp, insightful person. Maybe sometimes it's time to listen. Because in this case, the card being reversed, I think has a lot of implication of like, you don't need to be like as vigilant as in this case the owl, and what this card kind of shows in its intention. Yeah, I hope that guides you somewhere. Yeah, I love this deck. This is again the Wild Unknown deck by Kim Carnes, and it is the deck that I used to do all of the NPCs for Lori's house, actually. And I will use this opportunity to also talk about the incredible Lori's house. We just had the 4th episode drop last week. It was quite a listen. I really love that episode. I love all of them, but that one, I was like, oh man, that's right. We were really cooking. And to show us your dice for me, you can go check out Lori's house, and I will also grab some dice. I didn't bring my ice dice over. What will I show you? I will show you my beautiful Zephyr dice that Everything Dice makes that I love so much. These are so beautiful. So these are some of their specialty cloud dice that they make. These are the ones they made for Critical Role, for the home of the Arashari Zephyra. These are incredible to look at. So this is Everything Dice, and I absolutely love them. Don't eat these ones. Besides, clouds will make you burp. These are so beautiful. They do such a good job. So yeah, thanks for that redeem, y'all. Good redeems! Love them. So yeah. Alright, now let's go look at some Hero Forges of yore, and by yore I mean me. Screen. Let's start with my boy! This is Patroclus. As seen in Taino Tales is the Doomsayers, where I play a trash man in the 80s, but once upon a time he was the great hero Patroclus of ancient Greece. This is what he looks like in the 80s. A gay dumpster fire. I'm obsessed with him. And one of the things I thought about a lot was how to kind of visually transition him between this and this. And so I actually spent a lot of time thinking about color theory. You can see that he's all dirtied up because he's in the war. But the scars remain the same. The skin and everything is largely the same, except he is paler in the 80s. Just a little. And he does have his amazing god scar that I'm obsessed with. And again, you can see how I used color theory here with the like kind of blue, green, and the orange. And keeping it in this like orange and green world all the way throughout, and then getting this like really strong tan in, which is so 80s that I think I pulled this color directly out of a picture from the 1980s. And then I also did one of his, like, Vrikolakos, not quite vampire, not quite werewolf self, to kind of convey it for myself to think the whole thing through. So you can see, like, how I use HeroForge to think, I think, is very clear in this one. And I even added, in his normal self, you can't quite see his wolf teeth that are always there. And so in the Vrikolakos one, I really accentuated them, opened his mouth, and you can see even that there's a little bit of glow inside of his mouth, which is how I describe it. I'm obsessed. He also has a great butt. So yeah, that's just Merrick. So that's 3. And then here is Hoshiro from Sun and Chains over on Bad House RPG. Hoshiro, who is very fine and normal. And has a bunch of tattoos. And if I had all the time in the world, I would have put all of the tattoos on him, because all of his abilities are all tattooed on him. And so I actually have a chart of all of his tattoos and everything. But he was very like Raven inspired, and very deathcore. He's literally a Pact of the Reaper warlock. So he has a lot of skulls and ravens and that kind of stuff. And so the thing that I really focused on for the Hero Forge was like really nailing down the color world of like his robes, because I really wanted that red, and keeping it out of Christmas colors was very important. So like if you go to the purpler side of red and the bluer side of green, it kind of really keeps it out of that very American Christmas, while still having access to things like bright red, because this is a more traditional, like East Asian vermilion red. I use it a lot in him, in little details. And then with the gold, yeah, you can tell that he's not at all super ostentatious rich guy. He's normal. And now here's this guy. I don't know if any of you have heard of him. This is my, I think, very first design in HeroForge. From Arc 1. I love him. And trying to keep all of the like color for him. He's very colorful. Was very important to me. Oh, I forgot to open one of them. So, yeah, here's Zynon, covered in dust. I'm going to bring Hoshiro over here so that I don't show you my library of secrets, because again, I use this to think through all of my characters, including characters for shows that are not out yet. Where is my beloved boy? One of my favorite HeroForges I've ever made. There he is. Okay. This is Nyx. I built this one actually on HeroForges, on their channel. He is the Ward of the Snow Queen, and he is my first Hexblood beloved. And he's an ice boy, so he's got all of this ice. And you'll notice I went very monochrome. He is wearing blue. He wears so much blue. But the detail with him was all in where I put the accents, where I put the blue on his skin. He has a mirrored eye because he's cursed. Getting the clearness of the ice was very important to me. So he's fine. No one should worry about him. And just getting all of the, like, how much blue and silver can I shove into one costume? Yes, this is my problem child from the Lore Brewery. I love him. And so, like, really going hard on the monochrome and keeping it to the point where it was like, oh, this is like a silly amount of blue. So yeah. But you'll notice he doesn't look super monochrome. Because I sat here and fiddled forever trying to parse out exactly how to separate that. Here's another fun design. This is Road Theolus from Outrunners over on Happy Jacks. He is a like humanoid raptor. So I got to kind of like really play around with face sculpt, and he's a nightmare person. But he goes through a change, and so one of the things I was exploring through his HeroForge is like what it looks like when he stops being so ostentatious, and like how to kind of pare that back where it still looks like him, but he, you know, he's the same guy, same model, same everything, but just less. So I use HeroForge to also think through like big character beats. Who else did I open? Oh my god. Speaking of, and Derek's gonna scream. So this is Jal from the Balancing the Scales series that I did with Derek. And one of my very few femme characters. This is my god killer. Look at her. She's so hot. This is what she looked like before she died the first time. She's so hot. And so one of the things that I really liked about designing her was that I then got to redesign her, because this is her before the events of her Godkiller one-shot. This is her during her Godkiller one-shot. And you'll notice it's the same model, different pose, different, lots of things. But one of the things I wanted to carry through was that this dress is what she is wearing over here. And so exploring how to make her look the same while decayed and change what she looks like. Yeah, she's incredible. I'm obsessed with her. And she fought gods because she loves her wife. So you know what? She's perfect. So yeah, the evolution is one of the things I explore actually quite often in HeroForge, where I'll build like 7 versions. yeah, she's, listen, I said, what if I made a butch? And boy, was I right. And so, yeah, like, you can see how I use HeroForge not only to think about color and pattern, but also, like, who the characters are, what they look like in their details, that kind of stuff. Oh, smooching her on her forehead. I love them. So yeah, that's other HeroForge examples that I have. So and these are, like, pretty mild. I get deep into the kit bash sauce real fast. But this is stuff that you can do, and you'll notice I use a lot of decals. I use a lot of pattern and texture. I love this cape, this fur cape that they have in their stock items, because I love a really textured garment, and that's kind of the next thing I want to talk to you all about, actually, is texture. And HeroForge, you accomplish that very often by either the items themselves or through patterns that you can kind of skin to look like texture. So let's see here. Like the Hoshiros, and this is the same piece. So you can kind of see that this visual texture on this shoulder piece that I've got on Road really does, like, it's a huge difference between this and it being all cream, right? Just one solid flat cream thing. You're so right, Turtle Care. I spend so long in the character creations part. What would happen if Jala and Zynon met? They are two people who would fight to the end of the universe to save the people they love. Really normal. So you can see, like, the texture on this versus this pattern. They do look different. This is a 3D modeled texture into this kind of pauldron-y piece. And this is obviously like a fake woven as well. And then this is pattern. And they are both creating visual patterns. Show us your dice. I love showing dice. Let's see here. What do I have over here? I will show you. What do I have in my secret drawer? Oh my gosh, I want to see this on the close-up camera so badly that this is definitely one. I only have one of these, but this is Victorian Tea Room by Everything Dice. I have a window over where I can see the camera, and I want to make sure that you can see how absolutely beautiful this dice is. Come on, camera, get with it. Like, there's flowers suspended in this, like, otherworldly green with a little bit of gold in them. There's, like, whole flowers in there. Look at that. I love these so much. I do not have this whole set. I got this out of a gachapon, a blind gachapon from them, but I love that die. Maybe tomorrow morning I'll go get my ice dice and bring them over, because now you've seen the character that I collected just an absurd amount of ice dice for, and I have so many, and they're so pretty. I love dice. Anyways, back to pattern and texture. So this is a pattern. The like jacket piece is a pattern, but this is a texture, and those two things kind of live next to each other, but also you can have very subtle patterns, very subtle texture. And sometimes you have both. So actually I'm going to turn on my side camera again, because you can see, like, this is the thing that I keep over my camera over here. And it has both pattern in that nice gay rainbow, but also it has the terry cloth texture because it is just a sweatband. And knit just on its own has a really good texture. But you can see that this looks different than were it just a flat rainbow, or were it just a terry cloth sweatband. And like, what other fabrics? I should have brought more fabrics over. Anyways, the point being that, like, you can accomplish a lot by just adding a little bit of texture to things, and then pattern completely changes a garment. You can have the same garment or the same pattern. So, like, one of the things with Road is that I carried over this pattern into this waistcoat when I decided to make him more subtle, but the texture of these pants really makes him feel more grounded, because this is like big, ridiculous, opulent, but then these are like real people pants. There's something to be said about the like reality of how much stuff there is on the legs now versus this very like lofty, very like, I don't know, there's just a lot less, even though there's a lot of detail up here, there's a lot less grounding down here, and it's like you look up versus you look down because of how much texture there is. I don't know, he's a lot. Let's see here, who's got another really good like pattern? Well, like one of the things I was talking about before, this is like, yes, in HeroForge this is just like a decal spray, but the dirt on this really makes this not look like just a single solid garment. It really tells a story as to who he is, that there's something going on, that he's dirty, right? And I even let the dirt kind of go down onto his feet. And so it's the little touches of texture, of visual texture in this case, that make him look like he's not just wearing a single solid sheet of the same fabric that you can't get a lot of detail on because it's HeroForge, and they're not meant to do that. So going back to Awlee now, you'll see that while they do have some like visual texture on their pants, and then of course the arm, I really wanted to like drive that home, there's not a lot of pattern. And while there are some textures, like I love this leather, that's just like base set leather, because it does have nice texture to it. But like this shirt could use either more texture or a pattern. So I think I'm going to give it a pattern just to kind of talk you through some pattern stuff. Decals. And I love that they've added this, because this makes everything so much better for me in my life. So I think it's just going to be a simple pattern. I don't think it needs to be anything too complicated, because I want this to actually be kind of a... There, yes, done. I love... because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this actually just a woven texture, not a... You can see how bright this looks right now. I'm going to do a tone on tone, where I'm going to make one of these darker. And I'm going to do it one more time and make it lighter. Like that. And I'll take the original and do the third. And you'll see now, that's just a herringbone weave. And that would be the texture of the fabric. Oh, I love that, actually. I could turn down the darkness of the darker one. I mean, brighten it up, whatever. You know what I mean. But now you can see that looks like a real garment versus what we had before, where it looks very cool, but it doesn't have that like hand feel to it. I see you all, and the answer is yes. Zynon, his ability, I literally modeled off of how they explain why Clint Barton is actually a superhero. His calling is, I shoot good. So that's just one of the decals. I'm gonna add another one. Let's see here. Pattern, splatter, front. That's right. They do all kinds of new stuff. I'm gonna see if I can just land this. No. I think I have to do it a different way. So I cannot control placement? No. No, I can. Okay. So what I want to do is just get color on the leather. Further over. Like that. And then we're gonna do some color tweaking. Wrap less? No, I want that. Because I want to just give a little bit. Oh, there's 3 of them. Okay, I want less of that one. But there's nothing up there, and I don't love that. That looks good. What's this one? I don't even see it. So I'm going to say nothing. No color on that one. Just some fun, like, oops, we tripped and fell into a Fey flower patch coloring going on. Oh, that looks so cool. Because again, I'm trying to bring some of that color down, right? You guys are so funny. And another way we can do some of that is going back in and adding things like jewelry. So I'm going to add... That's the wrong hand. That's the wrong finger. I want this. I'm going to add just kind of a simple ring. That's not a simple ring. That's fucking huge. No. I don't think a ring is the answer. I just want there to be something. Maybe it's on the hip. Maybe it's something on their shoe. But you can see, like, we're slowly kind of... You're not just staring at the head now. For those of you wondering in chat, Nyx is magic. Anyways. Let's look at hip. Let's put something on their hip. Oh, they've got bottles. Too big. Where's the little... I can make that work. Yeah. Pose. Body. No. Advanced. Give me those bottles. Twist them. Because, you know, one of the things you also have to decide is, like, how are these things actually connected? Because this is a incredible modeling system that is, while very versatile, sometimes you kind of have to decide how things work for yourself. Twist this way. And so I have to decide, like, what strap is this connected to? Where do I want this to exactly fall? Like that. And more, I guess. Maybe we go down. Like that. That's better. And then we bend it out more. Like that. Okay, perfect. Now we have something to kind of weight some of the color further down. Because, and I could go on this rant all day, but, like, costumes are not, I was just ranting about this yesterday. Costumes are not a, like, 2D thing to absorb, right? When you look at a costume, it is not this. A costume is a, like, 4D experience because it's the full 3D plus it's how it sounds, it's what it feels like, it's how it moves. So one of the things to think about when you're building your characters isn't just, like, do you fit in the, like, there's a bunch of theories of art composition. You can't do that with costuming. It just doesn't work because costuming is more about how does someone look overall, because the moment they move, they're going to get out of the perfect, like, triptych position or whatever. It's going to move. So the best thing you can do is always try and, like, know where the visual weight is. So like Ollie's horns were doing so much work earlier as being like the most visually interesting, but now we've got to kind of bring the whole look and unify the visual a little bit more. And so one of the ways I'm going to do that is bring some of the color down. I'm also going to see if I can take what looks like some of the glowing out of the horns, because I think that I do have some glow turned on, which I think is not working in our benefit. So let's see here. Let's get those all tied up. And then add a little wood stopper. There's like a cork, oak, walnut, beech. Beech will do. And I'm just going to take some of the same colors and kind of bring them down further. Yeah, like that. I think that this is glowing, and I'd like it to not. More opaque. It's not glowing, it's just that bright. Maybe I turn it down a little then. There we go. That's more like it. Yeah, now we're a little more unified. And now we have a very colorful artificer. I think the only things that are missing now, I want to give them a little dirt. I do want to change their pose, even though I just went through all of that. I want to give them dirt. Colorful dirt. Because I think all characters deserve to be a little dirty. Down. Like that. Left, right. Do that. I don't want to cover up some of the color. Covering up a little bit of it's fine. So we're going to do some like really warm mud so that we really see it on the brown. And then some really dark mud like that. Awesome. And then we'll do like an almost white mud. There we go. Now we're dirty. It happened. At least down there. And you'll see again now those colors tie into the arm. You just kind of... I say this often and I'm so sorry. Tarot card pull for Patrick. Okay. I say often, but I do mean it when I say, like, I kind of work everything around in a circle until it all makes sense. And so, like, now what I would do if I were going to go and refine Ollie more, because we're coming to the end of stream, so I'm not going to do too much more, is, like, again, go all the way through and add more texture, maybe add more pattern, that kind of stuff. But now they're like a person instead of a black and white canvas. Let's see here. Let's get that camera open. All right, another poll. This one for Vault Companions. I'm gonna shuffle them up real quick. Okay. I'm gonna do a quick cut. I think it's that one. Okay. We got the Devil reversed. Oh, I love the Devil card. What a great card. And in this deck, the Devil is so cool because it's literally a goat with flaming feet. I'll show you right side up. So good. I promise it's not that scary. It is, but it's not that scary. I think that most most of the cards in tarot are not that scary, though. So maybe I'm the odd one. I do have to remember how to count. The Devil, addiction and negativity. Though it may feel frightening when the devil appears in your reading, this card carries an urgent message and must be interpreted with total honesty. The darkness of the devil card takes the form of addiction, negativity, or materialism. It can indicate an ugly relationship with a person or substance. Identify this dependency and how it's holding you back. The devil's hooves are strong and relentless. Their grip will not loosen unless a conscious change is made. Free yourself. And it being reversed is a very fascinating position because it is either a warning that you could, or it could also be interpreted as like the like maybe you are blocked from seeing it, but that there is some sort of need, and not one that keeps you alive, that is looming somewhere. What a terrifying hole. It can be a very like kind messenger, is kind of the idea of this card, but all right, well, there's that. Yeah. Thank you for that. As a reminder, you can always redeem channel points, Corvid points, though there are only 2 tarot pulls a stream because they do take a while. Yeah, thank you for those, though. So yeah, Awlee as they stand is very colorful. And I think if I spent more time, I would add some like patches or paint details onto the apron and adjust their pose pretty significantly, just because this was my like neutral just thinking about the character pose, but now I would go and pose them up, make them look like they're doing something probably. That's true. Inverted is probably it is probably a good sign that you are not experiencing that and that there is an external thing. Yeah, so there's Awlee, and we've talked a little bit about color, well, a lot about color theory, which I do encourage you to go and explore. And like when I look at color for things, I will go and I've told you all 1,000 times, I love a Pinterest board, and I will go into my Pinterest board and my inspiration stuff, and I'll go, this picture has the right colors, and I will just take that picture and pull a color out of it, or pull a few colors out of it, and that will be my starting point for a character. And sometimes I will start from, you know, whole cloth essentially, and do what I did with Awlee, where I just kind of pick a color and start working. One of my recommendations, especially for artists who are working in very diverse skin tones, is to go in and look at photos and pull up pictures and look at, for all skin, you should look at the highlight, the midtone, and the shadow, because that's where you see some of the like difference in skin color the most, is actually like the bright light and the dark tone is actually just as important as the midtone when you're pulling color, because people's skin looks so different, because skin is weird when it comes to light. So yeah, I'm a big believer in going and looking at real pictures, as always. Let's see here. I'm gonna just do this over here for a second so that I don't accidentally show you something I'm not supposed to in my secrets, because I have so many. Well, we saw Hoshiro earlier, so I will show you Hoshiro's board, and how I will literally go through and be like, so this is the face I use for Hoshiro. So I will actually pull him open and like grab actual skin tone from him when I am building my HeroForge. And when you're, doing art of tattoos, I will actually open up a picture of tattoos and be like, okay, how does on a person with similar skin tone, how does ink resolve, especially like older tattoos or something like that? Stop reloading. I don't love that. Yeah. So that's color. And one of the last texture things I wanted to show you before we leave this world of that is stuff like this, where it is both a pattern, where this has a beautiful pattern, be bigger, but it also has this texture to it because it is woven. And so the last thing to think about when it comes to, I missed a hydrate. Thank you. Thank you for that. Is when you look, and I'm not asking you to know everything about fabric. God, please don't take that away from this, but know when something is woven or when something is knit. So like it's a manufacturing process difference, but also like most fabric that you're going to encounter, this is a woven shirt. Your pants, very often, unless they are like pajama pants or sweatpants, are probably woven. So like jeans are woven. Canvas, cotton, all that stuff is woven. So the stuff that you would normally find your pants to be made of. Woven is a texture, and it can also be then printed on with a pattern. This is a woven in pattern. It's called a jacquard pattern. And that is like both color, and it's obviously got a color, but then the pattern is color on color, and it has a texture. It has all of the things. Texture makes things feel real, makes them feel more tangible, and you'll notice that cartoons don't get deep into texture because that is not their job. That's not what they're there to do. So know that the more texture you put into something, so like this has a very, very clear woven texture in this indigo kimono, which is beautiful. And this looks real, A, because it's a real photo, but B, because real things have texture, whether that is from how they are made or what happens to them over time. We are not all cel-shaded beings, and the more intimate detail you can put into things, the like, look at this indigo dyed Shiko textile. This is stunning. But this is what real is versus like the further you abstract out and take out pattern, you take out texture, and you just become color and shading. That is like cartoon and animation. Not all animation. There's plenty of really textured animation out there, but there's only so much texture you can put into an animation before it starts to become hyper real or something like that. Like you could do something like Arcane versus something like South of Midnight, two very like real adjacent styles of animation, but one, South of Midnight, is full of texture because so much of it is about things being woven or spun or like the texture of nature, versus Arcane, which is more about the shadow and the contrast, and they have different depths of texture between them, so something to think about in general. And with that, I should probably switch over and start ending the stream, even though I could talk about this, obviously, forever. Thank you all for hanging out, for painting Ollie with me. I'll leave you with one more beautiful view of Ollie. We'll do a 360 really quick before we go. Look at them. He's so cute. I would play this character, actually. I do really like them. And we did it. We made them look colorful and interesting without going too far off the rails, I think. All right. Thanks, Ollie. The rest of the week, who am I? What's going on? Tomorrow I have 3 things. Count them. 1, 2, 3. I have an interview that is dropping on Tabletop Humans, or Just the Human, who is the owner and operator of Tabletop Humans, with Just the Human themselves. It will be on YouTube or available wherever you get your podcasts if you search Tabletop Humans. We had a wonderful time chatting and talking just kind of about tabletop and the journey to get there. They've had some really fascinating interviews so far. I'm very honored to be joining the illustrious list of people so far that they have interviewed. It was a good time. And I also, of course, answered the very important question of tabletop, table bottom. So go check that out tomorrow. And then I will be live here on Twitch again tomorrow at 10 a.m. for Rise and Grind, hanging out in my PJs and playing Marvel Rivals and having a good old time. And hopefully my computer doesn't crash for the third time in a row. And then in the evening, I will be over on Happy Jacks RPG for the first full episode of Road to Nowhere. We did a zero session for it last week live. And then we'll actually start telling the story as our characters flee Los Angeles after maybe committing a crime. In the Electric State system over on Happy Jacks at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be a great time. I'm playing drone pilot because I love robot people. And then I'll be back here on Wednesday for more Baldur's Gate. And then on Saturday, I'll be back on my favorite places in the whole world over on Transplanar RPG. We'll be doing an Arc 3 wrap-up Q&A for the Chaos Protocol with the cast and our incredible guest NPC for the arc, Hamna, who played Rhododendron Thrakar, who I love so very much. And we'll be there. And you should go check out... Transplaners had some really fun announcements today. You should go check that stuff out in general. It's a great time. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming up. The channel anniversary is in June. And we are going to be pushing for partner. So keep your eyes and ears open over there for more ways to support that. And a bunch of really fun content coming through. Yeah. And then next week I'll be back here with more Seems Right. Oh, and before I forget, even though I did say it earlier, last week we did have the 4th episode of Lori's House drop. And if you haven't listened to Lori's House yet, I highly recommend it. Not just because I'm in it, but because I listened to the 4th episode and I just had to like sit there for a minute because there's some stuff in it that's so good. It really got me. Because the performers everyone's so good in that show. So yeah, you should go check out Lori's House wherever you podcast. Lori's House is a Home We Remember actual play, which is an all-new forthcoming system from Frivolous Bear Studios, written by the people who made the show. Where I get to play the architect, which is the game master role, but in a lyric tarot-driven game about the selfless act of self-exploration. So it is a story about community and what it means to have elders and what it means to love people in various shades and what love can look like. I just love Lori's House so much, so go check that out wherever your podcast. Like I said, the 4th episode dropped, and if you've already listened to it, maybe go back and listen. You never know what you'll find. I say, with all the love in my heart, thank you so much for being here. This was super fun, and I hope you all learned a little bit more about color theory, about how to choose your colors, and about ways to make your characters look more interesting, more grounded or less grounded, depending on what you're going for. And I will see you all tomorrow morning back for some Rivals. And in the meantime, you have a great night. Stay tuned for the raid. Bye! Where's my new button? There it is. Bye!